Hello, everyone, and I'm Christina Giordano, the founder of Sold, your go-to resource for soulful entrepreneurship. And my philosophy is this: people can no longer be sold to, they must be sold to. This is selling with soul. This is marketing with integrity, where you no longer need to compromise your authenticity, your boundaries, your uniqueness, your wholeness. This is messaging in a way that actually reflects the true transformation you provide because it's your story, your transformation, and nobody can compete with that. This is monetizing yourself in a way that honors your fullness, all of the pieces and parts of you that are meant to be what I like to call divinely resourced. Join me every Wednesday to learn all of this and more. Let's jump right in. Today's episode is called Heart Centered Marketing: What Happens When You Get to the Heart of What You Do. And in this week's episode of Sold, we're talking about the effects of what happens when we actually get to the heart of what you do. In all of my content, to varying degrees, I refer either directly or indirectly to the importance of getting to the heart of what you do. It's the essence of Sold. When we get to the truth of why your work matters so much to you and why it could matter so much to those who could benefit from it. Now, so often in marketing, we talk about the overarching benefits of our work or the nature and practice of the work itself. If you're a massage therapist, you're not selling massage therapy. If you're a health coach, you're not selling health coaching. This marketing focus isn't going to turn heads, no matter how many credentials you have. You're selling something deeper. You're selling the deeper meaning of what you do and why it matters so much to you. Now, perhaps you're going to look at me and say something like, well, Christina, this used to work for me. And I'll tell you, not anymore. Buyer consciousness has evolved, just like ours has. We are all a lot more discerning now. We're not going to buy something that looks pretty. We want to make sure it aligns with who we are and who we're trying to become. And it goes without saying, and I've said this on this podcast before, those who are drawn to me and my work have more than a job. They have a calling. Their soul path and their career path are intricately intertwined. They are passionate about their work. There's a fire within them that comes alive when they're doing what they do. It's truly their purpose. And it's what they believe they are destined to do in this life. And so, because of that, because it hits differently, they get to talk about it differently. You get to put some fire behind it. You get to let your passion lead the way in what you say and how you say it. You get to quite literally let yourself shine. And if there's one thing I want you to remember from me, it's that your voice is the anchor to your work. People don't buy a service, they buy the message behind the service. They buy what's on the other side of the service. They buy into what's possible for them once they start working with you. So, how do we show them what's possible? We get to the heart of it. And then we share that with the world. When you get to the heart of what you do, you're using the power of the heart because it is incredibly powerful. And I'll get to that in a moment. But you're using the power of your heart to speak for you. And I want you to give me a minute to elaborate on this. I've put together 5 results that happen when you do this, when you speak from your heart. And I hope you find them fascinating because I absolutely do. Result number 1, when you get to the heart of what you do, you move and speak from a place of wholeness. Now, what does this mean? It means you're accepting of your journey, of how you got to where you are, and the journey that really defines you. I mean, that's quite literally what happens when you work with me and when you go through the process of Sold, specifically through all of my methods, especially the Sold method, or excuse me, the Soul method, SOUL. The journey it's made you who you are. And so every piece and part of it is meaningful and sacred. And this is the one thing that I love about the second method, the Soul method. It's where we connect the dots of your life through that acronym so that we can build a story around your message and cultivate simultaneously so much conviction around your messaging. This is where you really just start to see your message as the truth of what you stand for as it relates to your work. And if you're doing this process with me, I'm there with you intuitively guiding the message as you go. Now, why is this important to come from a place of wholeness? Because when you're accepting of your journey and you're in full acceptance of it, you're speaking life to it. You're making it come alive. And I've talked about this in the previous podcast episode. There's something that I like to call the juice. And if you haven't heard that episode yet, definitely go check that out. But the juice is the fire, it's the fuel, it's the force, it's the thing that makes you come alive when you're talking about what you love to do. And when you're coming from a place of accepting the struggles that you faced and what you've overcome as a result of those struggles and who you've become as a result of those struggles and the things that, let's say, the tools, the methods, the protocols, the processes that helped you get to the other side of those struggles. It helped you overcome something, which, by the way, is what you help people do yourself. When you do that, you bring the full picture to the present moment and you make it come alive so that people look at you and they're like, they hear it, but they feel it because they're like, wow, she gets it. She knows where I've been. She knows what I'm feeling right now. And maybe she can get me to the other side of this. So just something to think about when you're coming from a place of wholeness, when you're speaking from your heart and you're in full acceptance of who you are and where you were and how you got here, you bring your messaging to life in a whole new way. Result number 2, when you get to the heart of what you do, you glow differently. Now, I talked about this in my previous episode as well regarding the juice. But the juice is one of those things that it's kind of like your glow up medicine. It's if you're fueling yourself with all of the things that you love, with all of your passion, with all of your energy, with all of the things that make you come alive, you glow differently. You glow differently. You're actually glowing now. And there's an energy that gets transmitted when you're speaking from your heart, and it's the energy that makes you look different. To those of you here that believe that you are heart-centered entrepreneurs, and that's probably every single person listening to this, I think you know what I mean. You're simply radiant with your message because it's your truth. It's you, it's your wholeness. Yes, but it's also from the deepest, most compassionate part of you, which is your heart. And there's a certain kind of glow that happens with this radiance. You're simply shining. So when you are speaking from your heart, you're becoming radiant. And radiant is a certain kind of beauty that you can't really cultivate on your own. I mean, sure, you can put on some makeup and you can do all the things, you can make yourself look nice, but when you're really speaking from your heart, you're glowing in a totally different way. I know you know what I mean. I know you guys know what I mean. Anyway, moving on. Result number 3, when you get to the heart of what you do, you get excited to talk about what you do. This is like one of my favorite parts of Sold in my work is that imagine for a moment that you get excited to market yourself instead of dreading it. So for my clients, this is a regular setback. They feel like marketing is such a drag. They don't know what to say about what they do. They want to keep it digestible for the average person. So they put themselves in a box. They quite literally put themselves in a box. Remember, I said earlier, the massage therapist is going to sell massage therapy. That's what they think they're selling, but they're not. And if they do speak up more, they're afraid to say the wrong thing. Because as you know as well, these days, saying the wrong thing can make you feel so misunderstood and therefore not want to show up anymore. But listen, having genuine excitement to show up and market yourself lets you be lighter about what's on your mind. There's a lot less pressure and a lot less internal noise. And therefore, the outside pressures and external noise don't matter as much. When you're excited to speak up about something, I mean, even me, for instance, I would get so tongue-tied when I would try to talk about what I do because I would try to fit it into the marketing consulting box that by the way, I hate, and you know that. But the marketing consulting box, it just wasn't enough room for me. There wasn't enough room for me there. And so when I took myself out of the box and I decided to speak to the truth of what I do, which is truly helping people speak with soul, sell from their soul, put their stake in their sand, and claim what matters to them so much about what they do. That's what I do. It feels different than the marketing consulting box. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, think about what I just said there. If I'm helping you sell with soul, if I'm helping you tap into the truth of your heart as it relates to the strength of your work, if I'm helping you embody your work in a way that makes you a walking representation of it, that just feels different. It doesn't sound like I'm a marketing consultant. It sounds like I'm doing something differently. It sounds like I'm in a new paradigm of something. It sounds like I'm clicking into place something that certain people on this planet need, especially those with a calling. So I want you to think about that. I want you to think about, if you were to get excited about what you do, about what you say, about what you do, what does it look like? How does it make you feel? And how do you get yourself out of that box? Like, how do you actually pull yourself out of that box so that what you're saying is so clearly true to you that when you say it, you're like, oh my God, this is it. Like, this is it. Think about it. All right, result number 4. When you get to the heart of what you do, you become magnetic. Listen, the magnetic field produced by the human heart is 100 times greater in strength than the field generated by the brain. Yes, that's true. Google it. Yes, our brain is an active player in how we talk about what we do. But when we're getting our hearts involved, when we're letting people not only hear us, but feel us, you can feel the pull of someone who is speaking from their heart. There's something about them that just draws you in. And more often than not, it's the emotion they're evoking within you. It's making you feel seen and heard and understood because they're speaking the language of your soul to you. They're speaking the language of their soul. And when we're speaking the same language, we're marketing in a different way. That's really what it's all about. It's really about marketing in a way that's naturally magnetic so that you're not forcing anyone to buy anything. You're not forcing anyone to do anything. You're simply just being you. And we make it sound like rocket science, but it doesn't need to be. It doesn't need to be rocket science at all. Result number 5, when you get to the heart of what you do, it feels like home. Okay, so this is a good one. If you're a part of this collective of sold subscribers or listeners, you're helping people find home within themselves again. We're all just walking each other home, back to ourselves, back to our truth, back to our essence. Sold does this. In its own way, getting to the truth of how you want to market yourself is coming home to yourself from this perspective. How are you helping others find a home within themselves? What are you helping them remember? What are you helping them return to? What are you helping them cultivate within themselves? This is getting to the heart of it. It's the stake in the sand. It's the moral of the story. It's the bottom line. This is what we discover together. We come back home to ourselves. And so if that doesn't feel amazing in and of itself, I don't know what to tell you, but I am inviting you once again to experience the magic of what this work does. I've got a whole new lineup of upcoming free intro workshops featuring the Life Method Live. This is my foundational method called the Life Method. The Life Method is an acronym. It stands for lifestyle, identity, feelings, and expression. And when you identify those areas of your life, when you define and decide what you want those desires and those specific categories to look like, you get to create a whole new reality for yourself. That's just what happens. And if you haven't heard of the Life Method before, I want to quickly give you 5 ways that it makes your marketing magnetic. And I've gone through this in a previous episode, but I want to kind of blow through it again because I do have a pretty long, extensive lineup coming up of these workshops, and I want you to jump in. The Life Method is what gets you speaking the language of your ideal client. The way that you are aligned to your work is exactly the way that your clients are aligned to your work. Yes, that's correct. the more you get clear on what makes you come alive with your work is exactly the same spark that's going to turn on within the people that you serve. You remember how I talked about that like soul to soul magnetism when we were talking about getting to the heart of the things? Yes, that's what happens here. Number two, the life method is the roadmap to your success, not somebody else's success, or more specifically, my success. If you're looking for a magical path to making money in your business, you've got to look within. You are the magical path. You are the way forward. And the life method brings it out of you. So the neat thing about the life method is that it can be used in a variety of ways. I typically use it to help people market themselves so that they can define and decide what's possible for the people that they want to work with. But then the life method could also be used for any goal in mind, any big picture vision, any next step. So let's say you, speaking of what we were just talking about, let's say you want to show up in a whole new way within your business. You want to show up in a whole new way. What does that desired lifestyle look like? What does that desired identity look like? What do those desired feelings look like? What does that desired expression look like? This is where you're really honing in on what that next level reality looks like so that you can show up for that. Because these are the areas of life, lifestyle, identity, feelings, and expression. These are the areas of life where we do, to some degree, if not fully and completely, where we do have some control. We get to decide what our lifestyle looks like, what our identity looks like, what our feelings are like, what kind of expression we're putting out there. Or, E can be used interchangeably with energy. So I want you to keep that in mind. The life method can be used in a variety of ways. It's a roadmap, but it's your roadmap. That's the whole point of number two. It's your roadmap. You get to decide the way. Number three, the life method helps you see the actual transformation you provide because it's the one that you've achieved for yourself. Now, the thing is when people market themselves in kind of the old paradigm format, they refer to the byproducts of their work. Oh, I can help you make more money. Oh, I can help you find more clarity. Oh, I can help you with your relationships. Like it's just like natural byproducts that happen as a result of their work. But there's a specific transformation that is so deeply ingrained within you that you can feel it in your bones. And the way that you describe this transformation is so pivotal and paramount to your success that it's quite literally the make or break point. That's why you got to be so specific. You got to tell people so clearly, so specifically what it is that they're getting out of this when they decide to work with you. Number four, the life method makes your marketing so much easier because it allows for you to finally talk about your work in the way that you love to talk about your work. So in other words, you will never run out of content ideas. If you've achieved for yourself what you now help others achieve, what could be easier to sell than that? Number five, the life method sets you up for embodied entrepreneurship. I talked about this briefly previously when I was talking about my own messaging. But this is where you represent the actual transformation. You represent the transformational nature of your work and you show up in a way that is totally aligned to it. You are now selling something real, relatable, and rooted within you. That's embodied entrepreneurship. That's the evolution, the next iteration of business building. And just one more bonus thing. If you've done the life method before, let's say that you downloaded the 10-minute audio recording on my website. If you've done this before, it just keeps getting better. It's one of those approaches that you can come back to over and over and discover something new. And that's because you are always evolving. You are a different person now than you were last year, a month ago, a week ago, yesterday. It evolves as you evolve. And as your wording becomes more true, because you become more true to yourself, it becomes more impactful. All right, if this sings to you, if you're like, oh, Christina, I got to get my hands on this, and I got to check you out in that workshop, definitely sign up, register. All you got to do is put in your name or email address. I'll send you all the details. Head to the links below to learn more and book your spot. An hour with me can completely transform your marketing, and you've got nothing to lose by giving it a shot. Until next time, be well and take care.